Hello everyone, it's your girl Ego Drem. Welcome back to the channel. My most recent video got a little bit, very morbid, so I thought I would do something a bit more lighthearted today in another art-related video. So who here is familiar with the concept of a sketchbook tour? I figured I would pull out one of my oldest and best sketchbooks and give y'all a little, a tour of it. Let's pull it out of this cigar box. Right. Let's pull it out. Excuse me while I whip this out. I've had the sketchbook itself for a number of years, and I believe I bought this when I was still in the Army to give myself something to do during field training exercises, and it kind of sort of started that way. But then after I ETS'd, and especially during the pandemic, I started really filling this thing up. It is full now, so without further ado, let's literally get into it. This iconic line is actually from the Divine Comedy, the phrase scrawled above the gate to hell itself, from what I recall. It's been a while since I've read it. Ah yes, 2012. Sketched this during a field training exercise at Fort Huachuca, Arizona. Arizona was such a beautiful state to be stationed, but Huachuca was such a depressing place to be stationed. I just got bored. I was tired a lot when I was in the Army, especially after I got home from the deployment in Iraq, and I would just sketch bullshit, basically to keep my mind occupied. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of what I drew was not exactly very good quality, but I drew things regardless. There's not a whole lot here that's good. This was a composition sketch that I started with the intention of turning it into an actual painting, but it never really progressed past a certain point. And then I just kind of put the sketchbook away for years. So those drawings that you just saw were from 2012. This is one from 2016. That is a very bad word in Arabic. Don't ever call any woman that. It's really not nice, but there's a reason why I'm using it. Basically, this was intended to be something of a sequel to another painting that I had already done in 2016. Again, a really not nice word in Arabic. No, it's just a little sketch I started and never finished. That's going to be a recurring theme in this sketchbook. There's a lot of unfinished things. I was really hoping President Obama would have considered a pardon for Edward Snowden, but he did not. This was a concept for a painting that I was considering doing on an American flag, but never actually did. I suppose I probably could. And I painted this inside my sketchbook not long after Trump was sworn into office. Because fuck that mango fascist, that's why. Ah! Okay, so this was a comic that I drew in 2017, and it actually went kind of sort of viral on Facebook for a time, on a bunch of child-free forums and pages. I'm 41 years old. If I were ever going to change my mind one day, I'm pretty sure I would have by now. And that hysterectomy 2 years ago pretty much sealed the deal. Here's another child-free sort comic I drew a long time ago that didn't really take off as well. So there's an indie game developer, his name is Jacob Janerka, and he made this adorably bizarre point-and-click adventure game called Paradigm. And the first time I saw a playthrough of it, I did this little chibi sketch of sorts of the main character Paradigm, who's basically a mutant whose head is made of tumors and lives in a half-molten-down nuclear power plant in the fictitious country of Cluj. I am going to have to skip some of the pages where I just happen to have the sketchbook open to take random notes of phone conversations and other people's personal information, so I'm not going to be showing any of that. Ah! This was a concept for an advertisement for a local business in Fayetteville, Arkansas, that they have been supporting my work for a long time, practically since their business started. Highly, highly recommend. Their breakfast tacos are amazing. So this is where it starts getting really graphic. A lot of my artwork is very graphic and politically motivated, so I probably should put a content warning at the beginning of this video. That is another sketch that I did. Another one of my child-free comics. So around 2019, something was going around on Facebook like, post a picture of yourself 10 years ago and yourself now. So I thought I'd do a little twist on that. Another child-free comic strip. I'm pretty proud of this one. So a lot of my artwork, like I said, is politically motivated. Since I'm a veteran, I've come to have certain opinions about the military-industrial complex. Some things that I wish I knew about just how big a problem that these things were before I joined. Because if I had known about them ahead of time, I probably wouldn't have. My husband and I attempted the Appalachian Trail together, NOBO, in 2019, and I brought this sketchbook with me, like as something to occupy my time on days where we would be resting or not doing anything, what they call 0 days. And so this is just a bunch of small sketches and a naughty word, a couple of naughty words. I had a surprising amount of downtime on the Appalachian Trail, and just an experimental mixed media sketch. That's not a very good drawing of a knife going through the lens of an M40 Pro mask. Don't worry, that's sepia ink and not blood. Or is it? A sort of symbol that appears in a lot of my artwork is an M40 Pro mask gas mask, now no longer used by the United States military, but was being used when I was in it. The sort of facelessness, like lack of your own personal identity, sort of a dehumanizing feeling, kind of comes up in my work a lot, and there's a reason for that. There's an origami crane over a kind of botched sketch of an M40 Pro mask. A self-portrait before I got the nostril piercings. It's meh. And yet again, another M40 Pro mask. Also, origami cranes are a symbol I use a lot in my artwork. I believe I was 12 years old when we had an exchange student from Japan come to my elementary school, and she taught us how to fold origami cranes. And it just kind of stuck with me. In fact, you can probably see on that wall over there, there's a whole string of them. There's a lot of them. I think I'm on 600 something. This, I am actually quite proud of this. It's a layer of sepia ink with China marker and this beigey brown nail polish on top of it. I'm actually pretty happy with that. Oh. And then I have a sketch of an old friend of mine. Somebody that I deployed with. Someone I really miss. A king protea flower for my South African friends and followers. This was done with Sharpie marker and a cheap paint marker. I was bored and wanted to draw something, and I want to say this took me maybe 10 minutes before I decided, you know, I'm just not feeling it. That's a failed experiment with nail polish. Yeah, it didn't go over well at all. And this is another failed experiment with, you know, I'm not sure what it was. A long time ago, I had bought this cheap, like, sketch kit on Amazon many years ago, and they had these earthy toned, they look kind of like pastels almost. I don't know what exactly they were made of, but they were awful to try and draw with. All they did was make a mess and didn't blend very well. And yeah, the sentiment at the bottom of the page, yeah, is about how I felt every time I tried to use it. There's me, copying myself from an older photograph. So here's a self-portrait sketch based on a photograph of myself I took a few years ago. And it's actually one of my favorite photos. And it's the same photo that I've reused for another painting I did. But yeah, I used to smoke, not anymore. Yeah, don't smoke cigarettes, kids. And another M40 Pro mask. Someday I will get around to drawing and painting something other than military-related imagery, but I feel like I'm not quite done with it yet. Yeah, here's another attempt at drawing with those earth tone crayon things, pastels, that just didn't go over very well at all. But this origami crane is okay. I was so happy with this drawing that it's actually the lock screen on my phone. This one came out okay. So here's a self-portrait sketch I tried to copy, so to speak, of a picture of myself in one of my old army uniforms, but then when I started to do the hair, it bled into the center of the paper, and just, I look awful in this drawing anyway, so. And here's another one of more origami cranes. Origami cranes and gas masks. I do other things from time to time, you know. My sketchbooks are basically where I flesh out a lot of ideas, things that I want to do, things that I want to see what they might look like if I were to actually attempt them in real life versus what grandiose ideas or hopes I might have in my head. Ah, here's another little comic I did that's not child-free related. Yeah, I hate it when people say stupid things like that. I'm actually pretty happy with this one, though. I should probably scan these and sell them as stickers or prints. This one's good and vile. I'm particularly good at skulls. I'm definitely scanning that one someday. A still life of an ordinary folding knife. Actually, it's the same one I've got right here. Of course, minus the little crosshatch pattern on the handle. I will admit one of my biggest flaws as an artist is that I lack patience. It's one of the reasons why I prefer acrylic paint over oil paint, other than the fact that oil paint just smells terrible and I hate it so much. Sometimes I will start a project that might have finer details on it, like the crosshatch pattern on the surface of the handle of this knife. I just won't do it because I'm like, fuck it. So Sharpie used to make an OD green Sharpie marker, but they stopped. I have not been able to find an OD green Sharpie marker since 2019, which is a real shame because it is so hard to find a good, accurate, olive drab green marker or paint marker. If anyone at Sharpie is watching this, please make the OD green marker again. Pretty please. Get up good and close with that detail for this little experiment. And that was done with ballpoint pen. Ah, yes. Another one I should probably scan and sell. This one's a little rude looking, but I'm pretty proud of it. For a time, I was just absolutely in love with King Protea flowers. I'm not South African. I've never been to South Africa. I've only met a handful of South Africans in my entire life. But the King Protea is their national flower, and I still think that they are just some of the most beautiful flowers ever. I would love to visit South Africa one day. Like the Western Cape region in particular. That's where they make a lot of wine. Another one of my legendary skulls. So there's a local art and culture magazine near where I live called The Idol Class, and every year they host what's called the Black Apple Awards. And in 2019, I got the nomination for Best 2D Artist. And this was the little picture that I drew, mildly edited it, and posted it on my Instagram to convince my followers, hey, vote for me! I didn't win, but the nomination was nice. I kind of sort of hate the term outsider art because it smacks of classism. It sounds like something some capitalist bourgeoisie fuck wandering around an art gallery would just like, yes, for outsider art, this is actually quite impressive. And I'm just like, what? I'm an artist. I went to art school for 1 year. I rage quit. I'm an artist. I make some money off of my work. Why is the term outsider artist even still a thing? It's just so bizarre. Technically, it still applies to me, so yet another self-portrait sketch. I look like Commander Data had a hipster niece. That's just a little bit of a psychopath. Ah. This is probably one of the best depictions of a human heart that I've ever drawn. In fact, my next tattoo is going to be a human heart with a slight modification that I have also drawn. I'm thinking I should definitely scan these and make stickers. Another King Protea. Not my best. Like I said, my sketchbooks are where I flesh out a lot of my ideas and conduct a lot of my experiments. So a lot of what you're seeing in here is not my absolute best work. It's just me toying with ideas mostly and trying to not be bored out of my goddamn skull. So do you remember that coffee shop, Doomsday Coffee, where you saw me draw a concept ad for? They hired me to paint their mural outside their new location in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I had never painted a mural before, so I didn't really know what I was doing. And while they seemed happy and paid me very well for the end result, there was a lot that in hindsight I could have done a lot better. Like also not taking a commission in the dead heat of summer in the South in the middle of July. But this was one of the compositions that's part of the mural, and I believe is actually out there. I haven't swung out in that direction in quite a while. I suppose I should. Pretty early on into the pandemic, into lockdown, started taking a pretty serious toll on my mental health. There was this next sketch. For context, I learned of the existence of a particular influencer on Instagram and YouTube whom I kind of sort of grew a little bit of distaste for. If you know, you know. And this new sketchbook that's referenced in this drawing is the one I'm still currently working on, and I'm just over halfway done with already. But that will be a new video at some point in the future. This next sketch is one of many reasons why I buy my art supplies from Blick and not Amazon anymore, is because you get what you pay for. And Blick just has a much better selection of products that are much better quality and usually at a much better price than Amazon. I highly recommend them. I am not sponsored. I am just giving my own recommendation based on my experience. Yeah, those red China markers I bought off Amazon, I think I threw them out a week later. It's basically like trying to draw with a candle. And speaking of crappy art supplies that I bought off Amazon many years ago, I bought a bottle of red calligraphy ink that I swear is actually orange. I don't use it terribly often, so I mixed it with a little bit of sepia and did another one of my me smoking a cigarette drawings on top of it. And on the subject of ink that's not really the color I thought it would be, I also have a bottle of olive drab green ink that, again, I don't think it's actually olive drab green, but when I experimented with it, I drew this picture of Bjork. Totally underappreciated, in my opinion. Okay, so do we all know who Justin Wang is? He's sort of an amateur internet historian. He does these very entertaining deep dives into weird stuff that happens on Reddit, old memes, internet mysteries and whatnot. Well, a long time ago, he covered a series about these mysterious stickers from the 80s called Geetus in the Land of Ta, and this was my rendition of Geetus. He's just so damn cute. You know, I was a little kid in the 80s, and I honestly don't remember these, which is weird because I still am a total sticker fiend. I'm tempted to get this little fucker tattooed on me somewhere. He's just so cute. And we've come across the very last page in this sketchbook, and bet you can't guess what's on it. Bet you can't guess what I drew for the very last page in this Moleskine sketchbook. Surprise! It's another M40 Pro mask. Actually, I think this is one of the better sketches of one that I've done. So yeah, sticker fiend. So that was the old sketchbook, and this is the new one that I'm currently working out of. But I'm not going to do a tour of it until it's completely finished. Well, that's it for this little sketchbook tour. I hope you enjoyed getting to see what it is that I do with what free time I do have, and get a better idea of what it is that I actually do with my actual art when I'm not live streaming on Twitch, which, by the way, once I hit 300 followers, I will give away a free painting. I will do a special one just to give away to one lucky Twitch follower. So, if you would like your chance at winning that painting, go follow me on my Twitch. And that'll do for today. Thank you for joining me. Have a good day. Be good to each other. Bye.